Welcome to Life in the Bricks podcast, where we talk to real people about programs that enhance our community so that we can build bigger and better portfolios while providing options for our residents to achieve self-sufficiency. I'm your host, Tony McGinnis, Executive Director, CEO with the Huntsville Housing Authority. Thank you for being here today. This is Tony McGinnis with Life in the Bricks podcast. I want to thank everybody for subscribing and listening to the podcast this year. You guys have been amazing. We've had a lot of great people on the show this year. We've had a lot of great topics that we've been able to cover, all the way from developers, city officials, different executive directors from other organizations. We've had a ton of our staff share their profession and what they do for the agency each and every day. So I think this has been a great way to really show the community what we do and how we do it. Before we move on, I want to thank Lakeisha Wheeler, who's working in the background, for putting all this together every month and giving us a platform to, again, just showcase what we do as a housing authority. So we thank her for her leadership in that area, and for also just kind of giving us elevation on social media platforms and making sure that the housing authority is elevated in a way that we can share some of our accomplishments and what we've been able to do throughout the year. So we appreciate her. Next year, we're going to really give a forecast of what we're going to do in January, and then we'll be able to highlight all those things throughout the year. So look forward to us being able to do some really exciting things for 2025. 2024 has been a blessing. We've had some great success. And so today's show is all about a year-end review. It won't be a long show, but we'll just kind of talk about some of the things that we've been able to do as it relates to our strategic plan. We've been able to knock a lot of things out the park. We've been able to do a lot of things. We've been able to do a lot of things that we said we were going to do. And so it gives me great joy to know that we have a staff who's committed to the mission. We have a community who's committed to making sure that they help us carry out our mission and partnering with us in a way that allows us to serve the individuals that we serve throughout Huntsville, Madison County. Public housing, we have roughly 1,600 units that we manage and operate. We have close to 1,800 vouchers, and that gives us about 7,500 people that we are responsible for providing housing. And so with that many individuals, that's a great responsibility to make sure that we're doing the things that we need to do to make sure that they're taken care of. So when we talk about our strategic plan, we had 7 objectives that we wanted to cover this year. And that first objective was we wanted to make sure that we promote and achieve a stronger commitment to self-sufficiency. I truly believe that if our residents will commit to becoming self-sufficient, they will allow themselves to be elevated. And a lot of times that means they will have the opportunity to become homeowners. They will have the opportunity to remove themselves from that generational cycle of poverty that so many people are getting stuck in. And so we wanted to make a commitment to doing that. We've had multiple people become homeowners. This has been a great season and a great year for those individuals who've taken advantage of becoming homeowners. One of the ways that we were able to provide self-sufficiency. Our self-sufficiency department, our family self-sufficiency department, has graduated multiple people. A lot of those individuals who graduated from the program have received checks where they were able to pay off debt, go back to school, purchase homes. We've given away, or we've given back to the community, close to $170,000 because people were committed to making sure that they were self-sufficient. So we want to send a big shout out to our director of that department, Ms. Sakina Bolden, and her team for really pushing self-sufficiency. We want to thank those partners who partnered with us to partner with our residents to make sure that they were achieving some of the goals that they were able to achieve this year. Self-sufficiency is not something that happens overnight, especially when you have residents who are, again, generational, and they're third and fourth generation of public housing residents. I'm just so excited that some people have broken the glass ceiling and have gone through and have said enough is enough, and they're willing to make the sacrifices to make sure that their family has an opportunity to become home ownership. I mean, to become homeowners, to get out of debt, to do the things necessary so that they can become self-sufficiency. Number two, we wanted to make sure that we promoted a healthy and engaged and productive workforce. I think some of the changes that we've been able to put in place has allowed us to do that. We've really taken a stronger look at mental health. We've tried to listen to the employees to make sure that their needs were being met. There's a lot of things that we can continue to do to make that even better. But we've also paid attention to making sure that individuals within the organization had an opportunity to grow within the organization. We've had several people that were elevated in their department or elevated to another department. And that's one of the ways that we were really listening to the employees, because a lot of folks felt like they were being overlooked. We have a lot of great talent right here in this organization, and those individuals were able to make sure that they had an opportunity to be elevated within this organization. And then one of the things that we were able to do is create a set of core values. These core values have allowed us to really pay attention to detail when it comes to making sure that we do the right job. One of those is understanding that the safety and well-being of our residents and our employees is a top priority. Number two is we wanted to make sure that everybody understood that if we lead with intentional integrity in all our interactions, we'll always do the right thing. If we lead with intentional integrity, and that means that everything that we do from an organizational standpoint had to be done with intention. We had to be intentional about every move that we made. Number three is we had to promote self-sufficiency for our residents through innovative partnerships and family-based programs. Once all of our residents and all of our staff understood that, it helped us in promoting a healthy and engaged workforce. And then we encouraged and fostered employee growth and development. All of our leaders were able to take advantage of different leadership classes. We had training that we offered in-house. We've studied together. We've tried to create best practices within the organization. And this has given us an opportunity to really excel and to elevate those leaders of the future. And I'm excited about that. So first thing we did was we promoted and achieved a stronger commitment to self-sufficiency. Number two was we promoted a healthy, engaged, and productive workforce. And then number three is we forged creative collaborations with community partners. I feel like this was very important because what this did, it allowed us to think outside the box. Yes, the housing authority, we provide housing, but there are so many good organizations throughout our community that assist us as we provide that housing. They might provide family counseling. They might provide educational resources. They might provide opportunities for workforce development. They might provide after school care. They might provide assistance with food. And so we were able to partner with some really great organizations, and those organizations allowed us to partner and serve our residents like I've never seen before. I can name 20 to 30 organizations that we've partnered with. I wouldn't dare start naming them because the minute I forget somebody, I'll be in trouble. But I'm excited about everybody who partnered with us everybody who sat across me and signed MOUs, everybody who laced it up and went to war with us to make sure that our residents were taken care of. So it's been great to know that we have real partners, not just partners on paper, but partners in the education industry, partners in the workforce development industry, partners in mental health, partners in after school, partners in childcare, partners that really have allowed us to do what's right for our residents. And then we've had partners who helped us house families. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as well. So I'm excited about the partnerships we've had with the city of Huntsville and the leadership at the city. We've done a great job of really embracing partnership because we knew we were limited in what we could do for our residents, but these partnerships have made us stronger. And because we're stronger, our residents are 10 times stronger. Fourth thing is we wanted to make sure that we drove entrepreneurial innovations using our existing assets. This is something that we are still working to develop. We have real valuable assets all throughout the city. One of the things that we're able to do is identify those assets. And right now we have multiple contracts that we're trying to close. Hopefully the sale of the gateway land to the hospital will give them an opportunity to do what they need to do to provide additional parking for their employees and the folks in the community. The Mahogany Road units that we wanted to offload, we have that application in the Special Application Center. We're looking to offload some of the units that will provide what we're calling home ownership opportunities. We have multiple assets that we wanted to either reposition or offload so that we can create opportunity through the sale or the transactional push to somebody else to give them an opportunity to provide housing for our residents as well. So we're still working on that. We still have a few assets that we need to identify what would be the best use of those assets, but I think we're on the right track to making sure that we offload the right assets and do what we need to do in order for our residents to benefit. Because the sale of an asset really doesn't benefit us unless we have a plan in place that's going to help us either build something or help some of our residents achieve that self-sufficiency. And then number 5 is we wanted to support efforts that maintain Huntsville Housing Authority as a HUD high performer. And I like to say that right now, our Section 8 department already has the certification and has been recognized as a high performer. And that's like 15 years in a row that they've achieved this level of greatness. So we want to send a shout out to our Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher team with the leader, Carmisha Danson Woods. She's been doing a great job of promoting her department and making sure that our Section 8 department is top notch. We have a lot of work to do, but they've been a high performer for years, and great leadership deserves a round of applause. So when you see her, make sure that you acknowledge that her and her team is a high performer again, and they've really scored some high scores in that department. And if you want to learn more about what a high performer is, you can just look at the HUD website, look at the CMAP indicators, and it'll give you an opportunity to show exactly what a Section 8 high performer department looks like. Now, transitioning over into the public housing space, I think that we're going to get that same certification. We, for the first time this year, had our Inspire inspections, and every one of our properties scored at least an 87 and above. In fact, the 87 was the only score that we got that was not in the 90s. Shout out to Terica Pope, the director of that department, because her and her team and her property managers and maintenance team work diligently to make sure that these units although they're old and very outdated, we still do a great job of taking care of those assets. So I want to send a shout out to her and her team and everybody that works and is kind of crossing the line working with her to make sure that those units remain units that um, people will be proud to live in. You know, every so often, I get a chance to go and look at a unit that somebody has lived in when they leave and what it looks like before we release it to another tenant. And when I can say that I'm proud of the way that our maintenance team turns those units and pays special attention to detail, it's just very gratifying to know that we are releasing units that look very, very respectable and units that I personally, if I had to live in, I would live in. And so I just want to send a shout out to our team for paying close attention to detail and making sure that residents get a key. And when they open that door, they have a sense of pride and dignity, and they're just not getting a unit that looks like somebody doesn't care. Now, if that's ever a case where that's not the case, please reach out to us because we need to make that right on day one. So if you're ever in a situation and you feel like, hey, this is not up to standards, please reach out to the property manager. You don't have to go into a unit where you don't feel like there's been special attention to detail. But our team has done a great job. We have units that run all the way back to 1954. And for us to become a high performer again in public housing will be great. I think we're going to get it. And that's a shout out to our public housing team and making sure that we are a high performer. Now, high performer status does not go without financial support. So our financial team has done a great job in assisting both programs and making sure that we get the high performer status. And so our CFO, Miss Teresa Wade Chase, we got to give her a shout out too, because she does a great job in making sure that our finances are in order and making sure that we get the maximum amount of points in Section 8 and public housing. And so a goal was, again, of supporting efforts that maintain us as a HUD high performer, and we've knocked that out the box. And then number 6 is expanding housing access and choice. For those who don't know, we broke ground on a new development, not our own, but we partnered with Elmington Capital. We have project-based vouchers. Again, we don't own the property, but because they are an affordable housing developer, we were able to put some affordable housing units at the Dry Creek location that opened up in October. And so I'm excited about that because it expands housing choice. It gives our residents an opportunity to have a place where they can take their voucher, where they can go and live in a brand new unit. And so this was great because it gave us an opportunity to, again, do exactly what we said we were going to do, expand housing. We were able to contact new landlords. We've been able to bring in new landlords this year and expand the Section 8 program. So expanding housing choice was a goal of ours, and that's something that we were able to do. Now, the home run of all of that, if everything that I hadn't said wasn't great news, is that we found out in June that the Huntsville Housing Authority received the Choice Neighborhood Initiative grant. This gives us a $50 million boost to create housing in the old Butler Terrace, Johnson Towers, L.R. Patton footprint. And this is going to give us an opportunity to create 700 additional units with the help of the city of Huntsville and Huntsville Housing Authority. The Butler Terrace, Johnson Towers community is not going to look the same in 3 to 4 years. We're going to be able to create something that families are going to be excited about. People are going to want to live in that community. And so that was another opportunity and another way that we were able to expand housing choice. I feel like this is one of the biggest pieces of news that we've heard about in years. I think maybe 30, 40 years, this is the biggest opportunity that we have as a housing authority to expand housing choice and create a neighborhood that every individual that lives in that neighborhood will have an opportunity to be proud of. So we've really done a great job of expanding housing choice and giving residents something that's different from the traditional public housing units that we've seen in the past. And then the last thing we wanted to do as it relates to our strategic objectives is we wanted to make sure that we conduct business operations with increased efficiency and effectiveness. We created the Office of Resident Affairs. This office gives anybody in the community an opportunity to call in if you have a concern or complaint or a suggestion or a compliment. You can call into this number, give us your feedback on what we can do to assist our residents better, how we can be better community partners, whatever that looks like. It gives us that opportunity to be more productive, to operate with more efficiency. And so these are just some of the highlights that we've been able to capture throughout the year. Another big highlight that we had as we look back, we had the opportunity to have the regional administrator, Dr. Jennifer Collins Riley, here with us in August. She was our keynote speaker at our August event, our annual meeting. We were able to bring developers, nonprofits, community leaders together in a room and talk about housing, talk about affordable housing. And so those were other highlights that we were able to have throughout the year. So 2024 has been great. We've been able to really hone in on people, programs, portfolio in a way that I think we have not done in the past. We were very intentional about that. We knew if we took care of our people, if we provided programs for them, our portfolio would take care of itself. And so as we look to the future, we still gonna have those things in mind. We got to make sure that we understand the people that we serve are different than the folks that just say affordable housing. They have a blanket when they talk about affordable housing, but for us, affordable housing and the people that we serve, the majority of our people make anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 a year. That's 30% AMI and below. So we're very intentional about knowing who we serve, and nobody else is really going to serve that population, but we're intentional about doing that. And we want to elevate our residents to the level where they can start making 40, 50, 60% of AMI and beyond. We also want to make sure that we continue to bring the right programs to our communities, because with the right programs, people will still have the opportunity to grow, and growth leads to self-sufficiency. And then last but not least, we want to expand that portfolio. We want to make sure that we're taking care of the portfolio that we have. We want to make sure that we provide decent, safe, affordable housing for the residents that we serve. And we want to make sure that they have a sense of dignity in every unit that we have and we operate, because that's what it's all about. We don't want to put people in units that are just bad. You know, they're miserable when they go into those units. We want our residents to have a sense of pride. And so with that being said, look for us in 2025 to continue our mission, to continue to work on these strategic objectives, to continue to create new partnerships, expand housing. We're going to continue to help individuals create blueprints for their lives so that they can become self-sufficient. We're going to do all that we can to make sure that this is one of the top housing authorities in the region, in the country, because that's what our residents deserve. Our residents deserve our best. So we're going to do all that we can to make sure our staff is trained up, make sure that our board is engaged, and that our community understands the benefit of having a public housing in their community. So again, thank you all for subscribing to the podcast this year. Thank you for your support of Huntsville Housing Authority. I want to thank all of our staff for what they've been able to do this year. This has been an incredible year. This has been a year that we shouldn't ever forget. This has been a year that's going to kickstart some great things. So I want to thank our staff, all of our supporters, our board, and everybody who is a fan of Huntsville Housing Authority. And because this is the holiday season and Christmas is next year, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. I hope that you are safe. I hope that this is a good time for you to relax and enjoy family. And I want to thank you all for what you've been able to do to support the mission of the Huntsville Housing Authority. Thank you. We've come to the end of the podcast today. Please share the link on all your social media platforms. We hope that you all will join us again next time. Until then, keep serving and keep pushing. This has been another amazing episode of Life in the Bricks podcast. Peace.